What's up, guys? This is George from Dub's Barbecue, and welcome to episode 7 of the Hustle and Heat podcast. On today's episode, I'd like to welcome a local legend, an OG, triple OG. If you haven't been cut by this guy back in the day, you probably had a line in the middle of your head instead of a fade. If you haven't met this guy, haven't seen his evolution throughout his whole life, you're missing out. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Manny Cabrera. Manny, welcome to the podcast, man. Thank you.
Thanks,
for being
man.
on.
Thanks for that intro.
Yes,
Feeling great about that. Never had anybody speak about me in third person like that. That was cool. That was cool.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Glad to be on the podcast with you. I have 1,000,001 questions for you.
A million and one?
1,000,001, brother. Just because, just like you were speaking about my evolution, I feel the same thing about you, man. Like I remember when you were the delivery guy at Soup Jungle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it went.
Manny has seen the come up for real.
And then it went to like, yo, I want to do my own thing. And then I did my own thing. And then I painted a mural when you had your first spot, and it was a small spot. And then it went to a huge spot. And now it's all decorated, and the floors are the ones that I like. So, you know,
I appreciate that, man.
Everything's awesome, man, and you've evolved as well. And I would imagine that you still got a lot to go.
A lot, yeah, for sure. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
My name is Manny Cabrera. Right now, I tattoo for a living. That's kind of where I make most of my money from. But basically, I'm like an all-around visionary. That's kind of like what I feel that I'm evolving into, where I'm like kind of seeing the picture far off in the distance and just putting lists together of all the tools that I need to get there.
What can you elaborate on that, on your picture, on your vision?
On my vision. Right now, I'm just trying to just build more skills, because I believe that that's kind of like the world and where it's going. We were speaking about that before we got on the podcast, before we got on the camera, about like being a one-trick pony. I think that those days are over. I think the days of you being really good at just one skill are kind of going away, just because of, I'm not sure if anybody's ever spoke about this on the podcast, but you guys are pretty tech savvy and you're in the industry, but you see how AI is coming and kind of doing a lot of things really well, really quickly.
Yeah. And it's scary because it's not even like 100% well yet, and you can tell when it's AI. But like, think about like 5 years down the line, you're not gonna be able to tell if it's AI or not.
Sure. You know, and I'm just kind of using my experience, and I don't know where it's going, and I can see how if you're training a neural net or one of these language models to do one particular thing over and over and over and over again, it's just going to get really good really quickly.
Yeah.
So to be, to create the moat, to create value in yourself, I think to be able to use the equipment, use the technology, but also be able to do other things that maybe it won't be able to pivot, it won't be able to switch on and off so quickly. So that's like the gift and the curse, you know?
Yeah, 100%. It is scary. Scary what this world will have like a tool with AI, and honestly at the same time it's kind of something to look forward to, because we don't know what it's going to bring to us. Maybe it'll save some payroll, maybe it'll save you know.
It's about using the tools to your advantage.
100%. You never know.
And I was one of the guys that, like, because I'm an artist, I do art, you know what I mean? So that was one of the first things that at least I was introduced to for the AI, where people were just like, hey, look, it can draw, it can pull up images. Look, I can make it do a dragon really quick. And I was like, screw that, man. That's not an artist. You're not an artist because you can do that. But then as time progressed, I kind of got out of that shell, and I was just like, you know what? I need to use this to my advantage.
Yeah.
I need to use this as a mastermind.
100%. It's the same thing as like the older generation when cell phones came out, right? Cell phones came out, some of the older generation, they didn't want to use cell phones, or they don't want Facebook, they don't want this. And then they limit themselves on what they can do now. You know what I mean? I see it firsthand with my parents. Sure. I mean, but my parents have, within the past 5 years, have done a lot of growing, especially my dad. I don't think many people know this, but my dad got his first cell phone probably like 5 years ago.
Good shit.
You know what I mean?
Good for him.
And he went from getting his first cell phone to not knowing how to see someone's location, not knowing how to use Facebook, to learning all of that now. You know what I mean? So it's as time goes on, things are going to come up, and we're going to get more and more tools to use. We just got to be open-minded to it, I feel like. And that's where life is going to go.
Yeah, man. And I can see it, like, I'm a little bit older now, so I've seen a lot of that transition. Like, my first couple cars were stick shift.
Yeah,
tuners,
me too.
you know what I mean?
Too.
And now, I drive a car that drives itself. Do you know what I mean? So you can see the evolution in that, and even if you're participating or not, like, it's still moving. It's still moving. So, another thing that I seen kind of take place, and a lot of people bucked really early on, was the self-checkout.
Oh,
do you
dude,
remember
I
that?
love self-checkout.
When
I'm
the
sorry.
self-checkout came out,
So
I
all
remember,
the cashiers out there, I apologize, but I ain't like you guys.
Yeah,
You know?
no. I remember when that came out, man. I was one of the guys too, and I remember other people saying the same thing, like, man, I'm not gonna do that. They don't pay me enough to bag my own stuff, and da-da-da. And now, like, the convenience of you being able to go into a place and just bang it out, go get your stuff and knock it out, is, everybody uses it.
It's not just that. When you're in a self-checkout line, they have like 10 computers or 10 self-checkouts, right? When you're in a line with a cashier, you're waiting on one cashier, one line to move through. Sure. I think it's just so much more convenient, so much quicker to go through, because people are going to be in and out, and with 10 people there being able to check out at one time, it's going to be a faster system. That line is never going to linger like it does per se when you're dealing with the cashier.
Sure. Human error, and people want to talk. People
100%.
want to small
People want to talk.
and do that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think us, and when I say us, I speak about you, or anybody that's in business. Christian also, that's running the cameras. He's also in business. You have to keep your head on a swivel to see not only what's working now, or what the past was like, what changed from the past to now, what benefited you, what you wish was still here, and then what the future is going to bring.
100%.
And kind of use that judgment, use that wisdom
100%.
to benefit yourself. At the end of the day, you are kind of looking out for number one. You are looking out for yourself, so then you can help others. Because if you're not good, what good are you to other people?
Yeah, you got to lead by example.
Sure.
And if you don't, people won't respect you.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
So, question for you, man. I remember when you were building this out. I remember when you brought me in here, and this thing was bare bones. There was nothing. There was nothing. It was just a big open room, right? Where did you get the vision? Where did you say, like, this is, because for people that don't know, and I'm sure he said it a million and one time, this guy comes from a lineage of guys that build restaurants, okay? So he's seen a lot, and you've seen a lot, right? Where did you get the vision to bring all the things that work, but also give it your own spin?
So, like you said, I come from a lineage of people who, like my family, has all restaurants. None of them have built anything like this.
All of them are bangers, by the way.
All of them are fucking bangers. Don't get me wrong. But none of them have had a bar. None of them had a big place like this. None of them had a name and a brand like this. My vision, believe it or not, came from months before I opened the first place. I told myself that we're going to do this. I look at how my parents work. I don't want to get stuck. I said, I'm going to work my ass off these next 3-5 years and pay myself like shit. And I'm going to work and be poor. And I'm going to see where it takes me, because I want a bigger vision. And I've always wanted a bar. My dream was always to have a bar in a restaurant, because I don't know, I just love that atmosphere. I love being able to come up and talk to people. And I love the sports theme. I love the open air concept. Like, we got the bar in the middle of the dining room. It's a blessing and a curse sometimes, but I love it. So what I did when I opened Dubs in the first place, I paid myself $30,000 a year, and I worked 80 hours a week for 3 years. You know what I mean? And I was grinding. And when this space next to me became available, I jumped on it, and I kept saving, kept working, and I hired a guy who designs restaurants, and he designed a lot of the good restaurants in Sarasota, like Selva Grill, Capitol Grill. He's done so many of those big name restaurants, lay them out, design them, the kitchen, the dining room, everything. And I hired him to design this place, and he helped me design it. I gave him my vision, and he did it for me. And it just came to life, honestly. And I always wanted a sports bar. I love sports. I love drinking. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm just a social drinker. Just
Sure.
gotta put that out there, you know. It's more than drinking. I love sitting next to people and communicating and just talking, having good conversations. Another reason why I did this podcast, right? So I try to put that into my place. I made that my vision,
Sure.
and we did it. And it was stressful, but it's well worth it. And I'm still figuring it out day by day.
Yeah. It's a great place, man. It's a great place, and like I said, to see, you know, and it's full circle for me. That, like, you know, see you coming in, dropping off the plastic bag at the shop.
Yeah.
And then now this is your spot. You know, that's big.
Big time.
So that's awesome. dude.
Manny, you've known me since I was a kid for sure, man. And you see me in high school. I left for college, came back. You kept cutting me, and you see me Soup Jungle, Wally's. I mean, think about it now. Like every phase in my life, you've seen it.
Sure. Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And it's crazy to think about, you know.
Yeah. But that's you know, those are the stories that I use to put the battery in my own bag.
Yeah.
You know, I see things around me, and you know, as much as I like to read, I like to study. I'm a guy that's online. You know, I'm still taking tutorials and seminars on things that I feel like I already know. But just to kind of revisit those vantage points, revisit those thoughts. But most of my actions and my personality and the way that I distribute myself throughout the day is mostly off of things that I'm seeing.
Yeah,
You know
me
what
too.
I mean? You know,
Me too.
I definitely want the knowledge and I want the information, but I'm more of a practical, you know, try to put things in place that are practical.
Yeah.
That have a lot of practicality in them, and yeah, and I think that had a lot to do with you know, the midlife career change kind of thing. You know what I mean? Where
That
it was just like, you know, I feel like I'm going to be able to dump way more effort into this path and get more back from it as well.
100%.
You know?
So, speaking of that career change, I've also seen you evolve. I've seen you go from full-time barber to part-time barber, part-time tattoo artist to full-time tattoo artist. Do you regret any of your decisions, or are you happy with where you're at right now?
I don't regret any of my decisions. I don't regret, no, I don't regret any of my decisions. I use my tattoos, like the ones that I actually have on my body, in the same mindset, where it's like, it just lets me know what I was thinking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even though my perception has changed.
But that's the thing about life. Your perception's always changing.
Yeah, your perception's always changing, man. And then, you know, and you'll get a tattoo, and then, you know, you look at it in 5 years, and you're like, man, what was I thinking? Or like, why did I get that? You know what I mean? But that's part of the journey. You know what I mean? That's
100%.
that's the journal that you write in that you can't erase.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So no, I don't regret any of it. I think it has. And the barbering sparked it all. The barbering sparked it all, because before that, I used to work. I did a couple of jobs. You know, I did a million and one jobs in my life, but I was an electrician, and I was an apprentice electrician when I lived up north. And when I came into barbering, I seen how you speaking to so many different types of people in different walks of life, and building relationships with these people changes the way you think, and the way
100%.
you know you react to environments and or situations. So even more so in tattooing, people are coming to you for so many reasons, you know, life-altering stuff that has happened to them, things that they want to put in stone and never forget, you know, memorials for their family members. People just get, you know, stuff that they, you know, on a whim, but it has also allowed me to catapult into something else, like I was speaking about earlier, like the visionary aspect of it, where like now, not that I don't see myself as a tattooer, because I am a tattooer, but all in all, I feel like I'm like building the life that I want to live.
So describe that life. What's next for Manny?
What's next for me? I really couldn't tell you, man. I couldn't tell you what I'm trying to receive from all the intentional things that I'm doing, but I'm trying to build a moat.
100%. But you say like you're a visionary, right? And you know, whether you realize it or not, because I'm a visionary too, just in a different way. that when you're envisioning things, it takes you to where you want to be without even you realizing that's where you want to be.
Sure.
It's just day by day.
Yeah.
You know, that vision keeps building and then you eventually get there. So where are you leaning towards?
Where am I in my vision? I feel like I'm in the part of my vision where I'm starting to take the weights off. I'm starting to take the weight off. It's starting to feel a lot more like myself. Like everything that I'm doing is my true self. When I'm putting myself on camera and speaking, that's my true self. When I'm developing ideas, that's my true self. So for a long time, I don't think that was the case. I think that I was putting on a show. I felt like I was putting on a show for the people around me and what they wanted, what they desired, to make everyone around me happy. And I thought that would, as a result, would make me happy because, I'm providing the service and everybody likes that. I think I'm at the point in my life, or at least in my creation journey, where like people are looking for me for the things that I do, not because they want to get a tattoo. Do you know what I mean? They're not looking at me because, hey, I want to get a Jesus piece. No, they want to get a Jesus piece from Manny because Manny does it a specific way. Manny speaks a specific way. Manny treats me a specific way. So that in itself is very freeing.
That is very true about you. I will say, out of all the barbers I've had, you were the one that I always really like. Don't get me wrong, my current barber I love, but like you're the one I always look forward to because the conversations we would have while on that chair and just that relationship we created. It was just I haven't felt that with anybody else in my whole life.
Well, thanks, brother. Thanks.
And I always used to look forward to it, man. Every week, I don't remember if it was 8 or 9 a.m.
Yeah, it was always you're a schedule guy, so yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was always
and
like
it was always great
time.
Conversations. It would always like make my mind. It would stimulate my mind a lot, and
Sure.
I used to always like that. That was the time of the day I used to always look forward to every week.
Yeah, man. And going back to that question that you asked, because of that, because I'm starting to attract like-minded individuals that kind of like what I'm saying. It happens to be that when they come in, they also have something to say.
100%.
And they also have something to apport to the mission,
100%.
So that it's just I'm at that point where I'm starting to catch stride. I feel like I'm starting to catch stride.
You better keep running, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I was saying that I have a little bit of a little YouTube excerpt where I'm like talk, just basically I just talk and I do like little quick prompt drawings, and I was saying that in the video yesterday where it's just like me missing that, there's a lot of little things and a lot of little habits that I've accrued over time. And I started them very small, you know what I mean? They were like granular. There was just a particle of sand, and then it was a spoonful of sand, and then a bag of sand, just to speak in in code, right? But like working out and or eating clean and or reading every day and or now I feel like that me putting out that thought or that drawing is part of it. Do you know what I mean? Like when I don't hit that milestone for the day, I feel like I lost because it's almost selfishness. It's almost like me. I blame myself of being selfish because there's definitely something that I learned along the way that I should be sharing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I learned. Do you know what I mean? Looking at other people and what they do and watching them. I was talking about going to conventions. There's been times where I've learned things just by sitting behind somebody and watching them work. They say nothing. They say nothing to me.
That's usually the best way to do it.
They didn't even acknowledge that I was there.
Yeah.
But I'm just watching them, like how they're interacting, how they're wiping, how they're packing that color. And then I bring that back.
But what's crazy? Those guys that don't say nothing, they probably don't say nothing because they learn the same way you're learning. And they know what time it is.
Sure.
They know what you're doing. They know, and it probably makes them smile on the inside, man, because I'm the same way. I learn by vision. I look at you. I look at what you're doing. I'm a very visual person. And that's how I've learned my whole life, And when I find someone who wants to learn and does that to me, I won't let them know that I know what they're doing, but it makes me feel good on the inside that they're watching, they're learning, and you know what? It's about creating more successful people in this world, and just be loving, man,
Sure.
and give people what people gave you.
Sure. Yeah. I'm starting to get that where it's like I've heard the message many times over, and my dad was a preacher, so he would go to people's door, knock on people's door, and tell them the stuff. And I didn't get it. You know what I mean? And it's almost like you got to be walking the path to realize everybody who's on the path with you. You know, if you're not on the path, you're not going to realize it. You're not going to get it. You know, so I'm starting to see that in like people that teach, people that are trying to help others. For a long time, you know, I was like, man, you know, get yourself out of the hole. You know what I mean? And keep it moving. You know, now I can see how creating the best version of yourself or learning something really well and passing it on, how that almost brings more reward than the actual learning it yourself. You know what I mean? And in a lot of things that happens for me. Me having kids, I can honestly say that. I have a daughter that's 6, and me putting her in a position where she's gonna be best suited, and then watching her win at something and do well and be happy, that makes me happier than anything that I would have done for myself.
It's part of being a father, man.
You know what I mean? So, but then I see that in other people as well. You know what I mean? Those are just the lessons that I'm learning that are close to home, but it's showing me how to live, you know?
100%. It's teaching you to be you everywhere, not just with your kids, you know? And not only are they learning from you, I'm sure in your everyday experiences, you're going to learn something from somebody else too. And I'm a firm believer you can learn something from anybody, no matter who they are, if they're successful, if they're not successful. Everyone's been on a journey. Everyone has their own philosophies, and everyone's seen something different. And I'm a firm believer I can learn something from a homeless dude if I really...
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You see what you want to be, but you also see what you don't want to be.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? And you could, you know, and I hate to go back to this shit, but like with the kid thing, like, kids are super primal, you know? They haven't learned the rules of engagement yet.
No, 100%.
They're just straight,
innocent.
natural beings. So sometimes you looking back at kids and just like letting them do their thing, you can see like, oh, they're naturally interested in this. You know, they're naturally better at this. They really get a lot of joy out of this. And I would say for a person like you that runs a business, I would imagine that that's part of you being a successful business owner / manager, is seeing what are the things that motivate people. Because I'm sure that you have employees, and I'm not sure, but I would imagine that you have employees that, you know, you can motivate them by giving them more time off. They're happier when they have more time off, and when they come in, they show up. And then there's guys that you can motivate them with money. You pay them more money, they show up better. There's guys that if you're a little bit more of a people person, a little bit more friendly to them, they show up better. But 100%. You have to put on all those hats.
Everybody, so my philosophy is everyone you interact with differently. When I hire you, I get to know you first. I'll let you show me, like for instance, a cook. I don't teach a cook right away. I let the cook show me who they are and what skills they have. And I watch them for a week or two, and then I go in and I mentor them. I get to know them. I show them, listen, I seen you do this, so you do that, but I don't like that. Because if you teach them from the get-go, you don't really know who they are. You don't know how to teach them. You don't get to know them. You don't get to know what makes them motivated, what doesn't make them motivated. You just, this is this. But I don't like that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do that. I feel like my results have been better when I see who they are, and then I go about it a different way.
Yeah.
I might talk to one cook one way and talk to another cook another way, because that's just every person's different, man.
Sure.
Every person needs guidance in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. So that, you know, that's one of those ones, man, that you learn along the way. You know, you being yourself, but also learning how to interact with people in a different way. I remember, and that was part of it. You know what I mean? With me and my switching of careers and kind of just doubling down on one thing particular, because I only knew that there's only so much hours in the day, right? There's only so much hours in the day, and you can only love one master. So I just wanted to get better at that. So I wanted to double down on that skill set particularly. But I remember when I went to the shop that I work at now, and I had a conversation with you know, the owner operator there. I said, hey, you know how you win with me? You give me time. You give me time. You give me time, I'll be the best that I could possibly be. But if you need me here 80 hours a week, I'm not going to be a good worker, because I know that there's a lot of things that I'm missing when I'm here that should be taken care of, that are happening in my real life. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that my job isn't my real life, but I'm just one of those guys that I deal better when I have time to be present in all aspects of my life. You know what I mean? Being a husband, being a father, being a dad, you know, being present in my own physical fitness. And then on top of that, I am doing a lot of work that's going towards my job. You know, my job isn't just like showing up at 11 and then going home at 7. You know, I'm doing a lot of pre-planning. I'm doing a lot of consultations beforehand. I'm doing a lot of designing beforehand. And a lot of that is happening at my house, or, you know, I'm at the library, or I'm at the park and I got my iPad and I'm doing stuff like that. But like, the time to think is where you win with me. For me, personally. There's other people that, you know, if you pay them more money, I don't feel like that's gonna move the needle at all for me. You know what I mean? To have more money in the bank isn't gonna move the needle for me. To be present and be able to stack those skills, I think that that's what moves the needle for me.
So when did you realize that in life?
Soon as my girl was pregnant.
Yeah?
Soon as my girl was pregnant, I realized that it's like, okay, you know, and I've always been a go-getter, you know what I mean? I've always been a guy that like hustles, you know what I mean? Like, I remember when I first started, when I was cutting hair and started to do my apprenticeship as a tattooer, I used to go to the shop, I used to go to the tattoo shop early in the morning, sweep, mop, clean the shop, go to the barber shop, deal with clients like you, deal with clients like you that were here early, that had their own businesses, cut hair since 7 or 8 in the morning, cut till 6 or 7, and then go to the tattoo shop and do some drawing. You know what I mean? But I knew that that wasn't a conducive life for someone that had a family. You know
100%.
what I mean? If you're single and you have no one else to look after, then sure, you can work 20 hours a day if you want, and nobody's gonna bat an eye at it. But I've heard that story. You know, going back to you saying and us talking about learning through actions and learning through like what's in real life for you. I've seen that story play out many and many times, where you have this guy that's a go-getter, he's an earner, he's a provider, but the kids don't even know what color his hair is, because he's out before they're up and he comes home when they're sleeping. And I get that there's a sacrifice to be made for success in a lot of times, but that's just not one of the ones that I was willing to sacrifice.
So that's how I was raised. Like,
Yeah,
I see my
absolutely.
dad on Sundays, you know.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
sometimes in the mornings and stuff like that. But
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, I was raised. My mom always told me this quote. My mom always told me, she would be like, I'm talking like I'm my mom. She would say, my dad would always tell me when we were younger, you work hard when you're young so you can relax when you're older.
Sure.
So I feel like that's been my like mentality all these years, is work hard now so I can like hopefully relax when I'm older. And it's been difficult for my personal life too, like just like trying to find a woman that is okay with the hours I work and okay with the stress that I have on my shoulders and all
Sure.
this. You know, it's been very difficult, and a lot of women don't like that. They need some attention, which I get that 100%. But I'm not if I'm not fulfilling my dreams, I'm not myself, and no girl wants me when
Sure.
I'm not myself.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that was part of it, you know, like me understanding that, you know, hey, you're gonna have to make a pivot really quickly. B, you're gonna have to get really good at this new pivot, because you need to, you know, I'm not saying, you know, be home and be a bum. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying don't make enough to sustain your lifestyle. What I'm trying to say is, you know, that was better for me, because, you know, right now my work schedule, I work 4 days a week and I have 3 days off. So, but like I said, there's a lot of work that goes into it that when I'm not at the shop, but I'm just at the shop 4 days a week. But then I get to drop my kids off at school in the morning. I get to go to my daughter's dance. I get to do a lot of other things. But like, I think that me molding my kids and being an influence to them is worth more than money to me. To me, other people maybe not. And I understand where you're coming from. And that was a different generation as well, George. There's a lot that I'm seeing in just like mental health in people nowadays, where they're looking for a reason to blame something. They're looking for a reason of why they're not who they're supposed to be. And I try to nip all that shit in the bud as much as I can.
I hate all that shit.
Especially within my own realm, you know what I mean? The things that I can control. So I think in in tattooing and in art and in creating this, I guess, like a world per se. And when I say that, I'm saying like, the guys that created Pokemon, they created a world. They created a culture of people that follow that because that is what it is. Do you know how many other cartoons there are that are drawn better, that have better storylines? But no, they built a culture and they built that around that. So when you ask me what my vision is, that's kind of what I'm trying to create. Am I trying to create the next Pokemon? Probably not. But I'm trying to build a vision and a community of things that are going to understand my worth and get the whole reason of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and use that to build their own community within that, and that's where I feel like that's going to give me the best of both worlds. That's going to give me enough finance and enough funds to be able to like take care of my family and pay my mortgage and drive a decent vehicle and pay for my daughter's soccer, but also be there and be present.
100%.
Where I feel like there's a lot of other things that I could have done that probably were more enjoyable and less work, but in the long run, would I be able to fulfill all and check all the boxes that I'm looking for? Yeah. So that's where that came into. That's where I doubled down, and that's where it's starting to happen in tattooing as well, where I'm starting to see, like, it's like, okay, I tattoo and I do all this stuff, but like, where can I level up from here? Where can I not necessarily change the trajectory, but build my own path off that path that's already built? Do you know what I mean? Am I gonna find a little place where I'm gonna be able to build a shack for myself? And that's kind of what I'm after at the moment. You know what I mean? And,
yeah, I get that.
And like I said, I couldn't tell you. A few years ago, me and my wife used to go to Costa Rica all the time, right? And that was at the time, that was the vision. Like, hey, I would like to almost like Snowbird, almost like come here, work while I'm here, make a couple of bucks, and then go back to Costa Rica and shut it down. You know what I mean? Well, things have changed. You know what I mean? The reality has set in. My kids actually have to go to school.
Yeah.
The economy's not the same. Do you know what I mean? There was a point in time where I used to be able to go to Costa Rica with my wife prior to my kids, right? And even when my daughter was young, I would go to Costa Rica and I would be there for a couple of weeks and I tattoo for 3 or 4 days, and those 3 or 4 days would pay for my vacation. Do you know what I mean? Because the money was good there. And, there weren't 100 tattooers in every town. That has changed.
Yeah,
now
100%.
There's a whole bunch of tattooers and everybody's racing to the bottom. Who can do it for cheaper? Why? Because they need a couple of bucks. They're not looking at building anything. They just want a couple of dollars. So because the market has changed, I also have to be on a pivot and realize what may or may not work in the future.
100%.
And I also see that happening going further into the conversation of the AI and things of that nature. A lot of the stuff, and this is just my belief system, and I'm regurgitating a lot of the things that I've heard and or seen on YouTube. A lot of the stuff that's going to go first is all that white collar stuff. Anything that you're behind a computer screen, anything that's automated, anything that takes thinking, engineering, architecture, things like that. People that are going to school for 10, 12, taking on $100,000 worth of debt, those are the things that are going to go first. So
those are the most expensive things.
Well, that's where the companies are going to save the most money as well.
Uh-huh.
Right? So if and when that happens, there's a lot of guys that are go-getters, that are beasts, that are not going to let their family sink. So they're going to go ahead and look for, where can I make money now? And they're going to go to the skills that people have now that use their hands, the tattooers, the painters, the barbers, the plumbers. So then that market is going to become oversaturated with 101 motherfuckers trying to do that. So where's your moat then? Do you know? So
it's difficult.
Sure, it's hard to see the future, but that, I guess, like everything that I'm doing, subconsciously there's something saying, hey, better put your roller skates on and get to work, Even though I'm living a really good life right now.
Yeah, me too. I feel the same way. Like,
Yeah.
things are good at Dubs, but, I'm doing all this extracurricular stuff like podcasts and just trying to get my name out there because I feel like in the future I'm going to need it.
Sure.
And it's just a process. We'll work hard now and see where it goes later on. Hopefully it pays off. And if it doesn't, I'm okay with that. I'm having fun doing this, you know what I mean? And that's just how it is. And
It will, though. It will.
It will.
It will. Absolutely.
I'm a firm believer. If you work hard at something and you have good intentions and genuine intentions, it's going to play out. God's never going to fail you.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. You hear it a lot. And being in sports, being a sports guy, right? You're a sports guy, right? You hear that a lot, that it's not the best guys that make it to the top.
It's the most consistent.
It's the guys that don't quit.
It's the most consistent, most adamant people.
Yeah.
That's why I try to preach. But consistency is the hardest thing to do.
Sure.
It's like I was using this this example with my manager the other day. I was like, listen, think about it like going to a gym, all right? I go to a gym for 4 months, killing it. Boom, boom, boom. Getting big, I'm getting stronger and stronger. I take 2 months off, I get a little fat, and then I try to do it all over again. And I'm in a never-ending cycle, and my body's not going to be rewarded that way. But think about it, if I'm doing it 12 months out of the year, every year, where am I going to go? Where's my health going to go? Where's my mind going to go? Where's my success going to go? It's all going to elevate, right? Because I'm staying consistent, I'm working on myself, and I'm freeing up my mind. I'm letting all that stress out in the gym or whatever it is, however people let their stress out. For me, I love to walk. I put AirPods in, headphones in, I'll walk for hours, man. And, it gets my body moving, gets my brain moving, thinking, and that's just how it is. And it comes down to what you were saying earlier with the mental health. Like, a lot of people do struggle with that, but how do we get around that without having to take medicine or, and don't get me wrong, like, medicine's good, but I feel like a lot of people have traumas in their life that they haven't, like, worked out. And in turn, they just take the easier way out by popping a pill. Sure. And I'm not trying to sound mean or condescending or anything, but I just feel like people should work on what they've been through that has negatively affected them earlier in their life instead of making excuse after excuse, like you were saying. And if they can't work through it, get some help. But
Sure.
Try to work through it,
Sure.
And even when you do get some help, don't just jump straight to medicine. Shit, I seen a counselor for the first time in my life about a year ago. The first thing I told her, you're not going to pawn me off to medicine. We're going to talk about everything, but I don't want medicine. That's not something I'm looking for.
Sure.
And I was like, because once I start something, there's no going back. You're never going to be the same,
Sure.
And I don't say this to upset anybody, and I'm sorry if I am, but it's just how I feel. It's my philosophy on that. And, don't get me wrong, I do think mental health is a big thing, and it's a real thing, but I feel like you shouldn't just jump in anything in life. This is not just about mental health. You shouldn't just jump to the easiest solution, because 99% of the time the easiest solution is not the right solution. Nothing's like, even when we work hard in life, nothing that's good for us comes from an easy way out. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing.
Absolutely, man. And I think there's a little bit of self-reflection and or discovery for everyone, and to remember that you're human, right?
Yeah, 100%. No one's ever perfect.
Yeah. Remember you're human, and like whatever thoughts you have and or whatever problems you're going through, just like look at yourself and be like, let's start from ground zero. What are the things that I'm having a lot of issues with, and what can I possibly do that within my grasp, not looking for anything external, within my grasp, within myself to make that better. Like you were saying, you get a lot from walking, but you had to do the first walk to figure that out. If you would have never done the walk, you would have never figured that was your solution or your remedy to that issue, right? So it's about trying a lot of things. In the working out thing, you see guys that work out calisthenics, you see guys that work out with weights. It's what works for you.
100%.
And I believe before we get into, like you were speaking on the medicine and or anything external, you probably should do a deep dive on yourself and do inventory on yourself and see what's missing. What is it that you're missing that if you were, and this is an extreme mindset, but like if you were out and you were a hunter-gatherer, if you were in those times, what do you think your day would be like? And try to emulate that. You would wake up, you would take care of yourself, you would stretch, you would probably make sure you were strong, you would probably make sure you were vigilant, you would probably make sure that you were studying. maybe not reading, but maybe you'd be studying your environment. Maybe you'd be dealing with your family. Maybe you'd be, stretching out, working out, and gathering your troops because you guys are going to go out on a kill. Put those in today's terms. What are the things that you need to do throughout your day to get your day started? One big pet peeve that I have, and I struggle with that shit. I struggle with this as well myself. We were speaking about me getting here. In the memo, you guys said I was supposed to be here at 8:30. I got here at 9. And I had to do something before here that was important. I had to go drop my kids off, but that pressure of hey, am I gonna make it on time? Am I gonna have all the stuff that I need? Am I, unnecessary stuff. In today's a one-off, but there's a lot of people that self-create that problem for themselves
100%.
on a day-to-day basis.
100%, and it's all like an anxiety-driven.
So you start your day bad, and like I said, I'm not speaking when I speak on camera and when I'm speaking here for you. A lot of this stuff I've already went through and I still deal with on a day-to-day.
100%,
okay?
and me too. There's a lot of things I deal with too on a day-to-day.
But I understand that me waking up early and getting all that stuff that I'm supposed to do done and give myself breathing room, and then once my actual day gets started, whether I have to start dealing with clients or I have to start cleaning my station, or there is no weight on my back. I don't have this big
100%.
stress, and I'm not thinking about or telling myself how much of a piece of crap I am because I didn't do all the stuff that I knew I was supposed to do.
100%.
So there goes back to the introspection and self-analyzation of finding the problems that you have already and bringing the solution to them before we get into the external stuff.
100%. And there's two things with that. One, for instance, you were saying you're stressing you're 30 minutes late. No worries though, right? Everything played out right,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So you were stressing all of that just for everything to be fine. Me and Christian, we set up. He showed up at 8:30. I've been here. We set up. You walked in at 8:59. Podcast starts at 9:05. We were ready for you, and no one was upset. No one was worried about it. We knew you were going to show up. You're not holding anybody back. So, secondly, it's like you were saying, you get up early, you get this done, you get that done. For me, I learned that I can't have that weight on my shoulder. I have to get everything done. The more I push things back, the more I'm anxious. The more I push things on the back burner. I'm I'll fold that laundry later. I'll wipe down that counter later. I'll do this later. The more stressed I am. So, and in reality, it's if you do what you need to do, it's 5 minutes of your life versus 2-3 days of anxiety. So is it really worth it? Is it really worth putting it on the back burner? I learned the older I get, the more I learn about stuff like that, and I learned it ain't worth it. I'd rather put the 5 minutes in and work and call it a day. It's like folding laundry. I hate it. And it's not that I hate it. I hate the idea of it. So every time the dryer stops, I'm like, shit, I got to fold the laundry. Then I start folding laundry. 5 minutes goes by. I'm like, damn, that was easy. What was I stressing for? You know what I mean? So I learned to put myself in a do it now mentality and don't even think about it.
Yeah, don't question it.
Sure. It's even when you're in the kitchen or prepping or whatever, when you're prepping, there's, especially here at Dubs, there's so much weight on your shoulders. And one of my old prep guys says it's all up here. And the more and more I do it, it's right. Because you're dreading the next task. You're like, man, I've been sitting here for 4 or 5 hours and I'm stressed. But why? Just keep going. You start thinking about that, you set yourself back so much. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're just working, you train your mind to be strong, because it does come back to that mental health thing. Not only should our bodies be strong, we should work on our mind to be strong. And to get there, it's a lot of work. It's the hardest thing. It's harder to get your mind right than it is to get your body right, but it's more rewarding to get your mind right than it is to get your body right. And if you work on little things every day, 2, 3, 4 years from now, you'll be better off than you ever were.
Sure.
You know?
Absolutely, man. And that happens a lot to me. There's 2 points I want to touch on this. Sometimes I'll see something like this, right? I'll see like a dirty cup, or I'll see the counters dirty or whatever, and I'll try to walk by it.
You can't.
I can't.
I'll
walk
either.
by it, and then I'll double back, and in my head, I'm thinking that's that old man in you. In my head, I'm thinking that's that old man in you, because before I would have, You know what I mean? Like 10 years ago, bro, and not that I've ever been like a dirty dude or like super unorganized, but the little things, yeah, like, you know, I would just like push those off. But what I found in my life is that you're right. It creates this stress in the background that you're like worrying about all the things that you didn't do, as opposed to being happy with yourself for all the things that you did do, right? So that's a part of building confidence in yourself, of doing the things that you say you're going to do, doing the things that your mind knows that you're supposed to do. And when you're checking off those boxes along the line, it becomes very hard for external sources to affect your mood, because you know that you're being who you're supposed to be, 100%. Right? And another thing that happens, and you get a lot of anxiety, at least me particularly, I'm doing art on people for life, okay? I still to this day take that very seriously. I'm doing something on someone for the rest of their life. I should perform at the best I possibly can, right? And a lot of times when I'm dealing with these designs that people are asking that aren't really the, you know, cut from the common cloth, they're new ideas, they're things that I kind of haven't done before, or I feel like I'm going to have a challenge with them, I have all this anxiety building up until I start working on the design. And then...
But the sooner you work on the design, the sooner your anxiety's gone.
But then once I start working on that design, you find the worth in the work. The work that you're putting together, you start to see why you're worth and why you're doing the things that you're doing. And then when you finish that design, you're now it changed from anxiety to excitement. Now I'm excited to do this. Now I've already worked out all my issues. Now I can't wait to show it to the client. Putting the battery in my own back. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, man, and that is so true. It's so true, so true. You know, I usually wake up about 6:45 or so to get my kids ready. I knew that today I had this to do, so I woke up at 6 and got all my stuff done, because I knew that if I didn't do that, I was gonna be running around like a chicken with my head on fire, and I was like, that's not gonna happen to me today. You know what I mean? And I could have been like, no, you know, what's it? It's another 20-minute drive. I set myself up so that wouldn't happen.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
And you're more at ease.
More at ease. And and we were talking about it here, like even coming here, and I'm like seeing the traffic, and even though, you know, I was a couple of minutes late, I still gave myself enough time that I could have been like, hey, you know, if there would have been a traffic jam, if there would have been, I wouldn't have showed up an hour late. I wouldn't have been like, hey guys, I can't show up today because of X or Y, which I see a lot of people do. I you know, it happens a lot within my circle of people that say like, hey, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that, or, you know, I wanna do this, or I wanna do that. And then, you know, you see them again at a later date, and you know, you touch on the subject because that's what you guys spoke about last time. Not that you're trying to pull their cars or look for accountability, but they're not doing the stuff. And then it almost makes them feel bad. And I've been that guy as well. I remember when I started I started this YouTube thing, I don't know, maybe 6 months or 8 months ago or something like that. And it's always been like, I'm always racing to the next subscriber, like a landmine or like checkpoint, because every time you reach these particular checkpoints, it unlocks something else. You know what I mean? Right now I'm on the race to get 500 subs, which is monetization, where I start to get monetization through AdSense, and I can put stuff in the bottom of the YouTube channel, so then I can sell merch, I can sell shirts, I can sell. And I remember when I started, I was really off to the races, and then I took a little break. And I remember someone asking me like, hey, what's up with the YouTube channel? And that actually made me feel a certain type of way.
You got pissed, right?
Yeah, maybe I didn't show it.
That's human nature, though.
I didn't show it.
When you're not doing something that like you should be doing, and then someone calls you out on it, you get upset.
Sure. So and that was,
and you know what? We need those people that call us out on it.
Absolutely.
100%. Those are the biggest blessings.
That was the reminder, you know, and the reminders are constantly around you, dude. It's almost like what you're looking for. Go into a neighborhood, you're looking for green lawns, that's all you're gonna see. And if you're looking for disheveled lawns, that's all you're gonna see.
100%.
So, you know, it's the perspective thing, it's a mindset thing, and I agree with you on the getting your mind right, like the getting the mind right. And a lot of people do it different ways. You know, some people get their body right first, and then that unlocks the mind.
100%.
You know what I mean? Or some people get their mind right, and that unlocks the you know, the physical sense of the body. Or they overlook that and they go to something else.
Yeah.
But everybody has their particular way of dealing with their issues, and I always try to go back to this as well, that like nobody's got it figured out 100%.
No,
you know,
and that's why we're on this earth, to figure it out.
Yeah,
give our souls some peace, man.
Yeah, get on the road to figure it out, and you know, I always say that, you know, in today's day and times, you see a lot of stuff playing out on the news, and like people that you used to admire and or look up to and or do this and or do that, you know, things come out about them, and all of a sudden everybody's like blown away because this person isn't perfect. Well, that, you know, that's the story you were selling yourself, because
100%.
everybody else is human and everybody else got their shortcomings.
That's what people forget, though.
Yeah, everybody's
We're all
got their
human.
flaws, man. So I think you realizing that, that, you know, for as many animals as you've heard that have been extinct, for as many creatures and things in nature that wouldn't survive outside of their natural habitat, you were gifted with the blessing of being a human, that you can adapt,
100%.
you can change, and you can still win. Doesn't matter what your environment's like. It's all about the mindset and putting yourself first, so then you can make the best version of yourself and give it back to the world.
100%. So we're going to wrap this up, Manny. Is there any last words you'd like to say?
I'd like to appreciate you guys for having me on here. It was a great time. If anybody's interested in any of my content and or art, feel free to follow me on Art by Manny on Instagram, Art by Manny on Facebook, From the Capsule on TikTok, and From the Capsule on YouTube. I'm always on there kind of having these same type of conversations, and I wouldn't mind coming back when you guys have a little bit more time for me.
That sounds good. And Chris, if you could put his info in the bio or whatever it is in the description, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you for coming on. It was a great conversation. I definitely want to have you come back because I feel like there's a lot more that we can touch base on and talk about. And lastly, I just want to say, the sooner you get things done, the better your life will be. And I hope each and every one of you prospers in life and gets what you guys want, and just keep working for it. We appreciate you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.